sitting between equal sugar packets and queen olives. Did you say queen olives?
Yeah, these are queen olives.
Oh, that's a type of olive, a queen. Like there's a type of lettuce called butter lettuce. But now I digress. Another episode of In the Aisle with Dan and Jack. Hi, Jack.
Hi.
And we have our lovely guest, who's very chilly, Ian Fidance.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Stolen Valor himself.
Yes.
This is the coldest the aisle's ever been. So
yeah, well, you know, it is like 10 degrees out, and you guys are in a deli next to the door, and it's about to snow.
And we are right next to the door. Anytime someone opens it, it gets freezing.
Yeah, killer pod placement. This is great.
We couldn't afford a very expensive studio.
I'm glad we got video to show you. You look like a middle-aged woman clutching her pearls right
I
now.
am so cold.
Yeah.
You look like you have a small child underneath that jacket.
I wish at least I would have warmth. I mean, I do clutch my pearls. It's about when I see like really hot girls out in the winter with like skirts, like the man in me is like, hell yeah. But like the Jewish grandma is being like, cover up, you're going to catch cold.
Yeah. I'm worried about you.
You have a jacket on too, Jack.
I'm wearing long underwear.
I'm sweating right now, but I'm
you?
wearing a jacket in solidarity with you.
You have a rip in your jacket. There's stuffing coming out.
Ian, take some stuffing. It'll keep you warm.
Oh, thank you. I mean, couldn't we just get stuffing from this fucking deli aisle that we're in?
Right next to you.
Wow,
I knew
as
it.
if you couldn't have.
I knew it.
It acts as insulation.
Perfect.
Sometimes we do read, this is ready in 5 minutes. I feel like if the stuffing's ready in 5 minutes, there's probably not that good for you.
Oh,
I mean, is anything in here that good for us? Let's have some 4-cheese Rosa. This
Not
is really good for you.
Not
4
refrigerated.
cheese Rosa.
It's funny that we're sitting in a deli podcast where Dan had to stop eating all of this food to lose his weight.
Yeah, it's really like...
Is this like massively
4
triggering
cheese
for you?
Rosa.
This is like me doing a podcast in a liquor store.
Yeah.
Just
I guess it's more the smell of anything, I think, than the sight of it.
Oh.
Food smells better than it looks to me.
Let's crack open one of these cans.
That's how I feel about pussy. Anyway, continue.
Did you get the new candle then? Isn't there a new vagina candle?
Yeah,
I don't know
Gwyneth
what's
Paltrow
going
made
on
a
there.
candle that smells like
I
her
saw
vagina.
Twitter once and they said something about a vagina candle.
I wouldn't buy that. I'd buy Ian Fidance, hey, this is my butthole. That's what I would buy.
Yes, I would buy that candle too.
You would make it.
Do you ever sometimes hook up with a girl and then later touch your butthole to remind you of her butthole throughout the day? Me neither. This is a fun podcast.
I'm trying to.
What do you say? What is
I was trying to take it in to think about because that seems like an intimate moment. I was trying to think. I don't know if there's any moments like that in my life, but now that you've planted the seed,
I love smells so much.
Oh, so you're like me, but with like how I'm with food. You're
I'm
like
not ready to.
Yes.
I'm not ready to move past. What do you mean? Feel it to? Is that an actual?
No, for similarities. Maybe there's some similar ridges.
Oh, it's like a fingerprint.
Yeah,
right?
I mean
Bring you back
buttholes.
to a
It's
simpler
not like they're Yankee candles. Like they have different smells. They're all pretty much the same. You know.
I feel like there could be.
Ian's doing a little.
difference.
I would get a
memory.
Yankee candle if it was like Yankee Candle Amanda. I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that
How
one.
about 4 cheese Rosa?
Oh my god,
That'd be a bad smelling.
that
candle.
sounds like a fat chick you bang. Hey, I was hanging out with full 4-cheese Rosa the other
It does
day.
really sound like an awful nickname.
Yeah.
She
There
might
was-
have a yeast infection.
There are these. Oh god, I mean, and it would look like this.
Yeah, right.
Dude, there was oh my god, there was sub shops in my town called Capriati's and Casapoulas, and we used to call if like a girl, you were into a girl, you were like, she's a real Casapoula, and if you didn't like her, you're like, well, that bitch is a real Capriati.
Wait, where did you grow up?
Delaware.
Delaware. I grew up in Jersey. I feel like there's a lot of similarities when I drive through the two. I feel like it might be a similar upbringing. Maybe not.
Do you have
Bullshit.
Delaware pride?
Yeah.
Tons of it.
Really, my dad hates Delaware more than anything.
Why?
Because then he's like, it's just a place that you drive through to get somewhere else where you will get a ticket.
Yeah, well, guess what, asshole? My parents drove through and stayed. So suck a dick. Actually, my
Technically, they
family
didn't
drove
drive
through. My
through
family
then.
just was. I don't know how my family got there. I think on the
drive
Kalmar Nickel, which is like a Swedish boat. It was like the first settlement in Delaware. My grandfather took me there and like was really interested in
Oh, so
it.
it's a lineage of Delawareans.
Yeah. I'm like 8th generation Delaware.
I'm sorry. Who comes to the New World and they're like, let's go to Delaware? That's where
There
I
was
wanna-
nowhere else to go. It's the first state.
Where historically are you guys from?
Well, I did the 23andMe, and I'm like Balkan, some
hell's
sort of
Balkan?
like European. It's like crazy Europeans.
Sounds like it.
Like they're all like insane, which makes sense. And then I have a little bit of Ashkenazi, and then like European
I
and
thought you said you
Italian.
weren't Jewish.
I got the 23andMe.
Oh,
It
you
turns
did find out.
Yeah, they said I am Jewish, but only in my hand motions and face.
You know, murderers have been caught after sending their DNA to those things.
Oh yeah, that's how they caught the Green River Killer. Or no, that's how they caught the
What has to go right in your life to just wake up one day and forget a murder and be like, I wonder what I am?
Well, no, it's like family that's done it.
Yeah, I know
Because
there's been
they-
some family.
they-
There's been
yeah,
some dudes
yeah.
who have just sent in their own DNA and got caught through that. But one,
Wouldn't it be
the
funny-
big killer was like his niece did it, and then they were like, oh, you have the same.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if it was like some like serial rapist murderer got caught because like his granddaughter was like a basic white girl and was like, I want to see if I'm like part black. I want to say the N word at karaoke.
I
So
know I'm
she like
Cherokee, but I gotta
did
know
it.
how much.
Yeah. I want to get into college. I want to see how Cherokee I am.
And like, what are you? And they're like related to the Golden State
Yeah,
Killer.
right.
Yeah,
What are
that
you?
was him.
33% serial rapist, allegedly.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Delaware. What was the whole point of this podcast? We talk to people about their first jobs.
There's a point to this? Oh, yeah.
Allegedly,
First job.
this
Oh,
was
no
where
way.
Dan first worked.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
In this random deli that has no name.
How'd you get here? This place looks like it was made like yesterday.
This has been here for a while. It's my dad's. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that anymore.
No.
This
Your
is-
dad owns this deli?
yeah, I'm not supposed to say that anymore.
He's
but
also over
yes.
there right now.
Yeah, he's also over there right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's my
Oh
family's
my
deli.
God. So your 23andMe is Indian?
It's Italian and
kidding.
Irish, I think.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I'm kidding. So what was your first job?
I
My
stocked the shelves here. Me and Four
first
Chief Rosa.
job? Man, well, like I mowed lawns as a kid,
Yeah.
you know, and my grandfather owned a barber shop, and I would like sweep up and stuff, and
Yeah.
he would like pay me, but that wasn't like a real like W-9, whatever. My first real job was at a record store.
Really?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I
in
just got
Delaware
into records.
at Rainbow Records.
Rainbow Records.
Yeah, I used to go there and hang out, and the staff was like really nice to me and everything. And then when I was of age, I got a job there, and the manager actually ended up becoming like a local booker in like Delaware, Kennett Square, Philly, and he and I remained buddies, and he has booked me on like a bunch of shows
No
as a
kidding.
comic, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Did you
Holy
start
shit.
stand up in Delaware?
I started in Philly.
In Philly. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So were you living in Delaware when you were starting there and commuting, or you moved to
Yeah.
Philly?
No, I was commuting.
How long
I was
did
like
that take?
driving like 45 minutes
Yeah.
every night.
I live in Jersey.
And,
Hour
like,
15 in here. every
Yeah.
day.
Oh, so you started in the city.
yeah. I
didn't start
started
in
in
Jersey.
New York. I mean, I did one mic in Jersey and I hated it. The
You were
place
like,
has
never
since been knocked
again.
down to the ground.
Yeah.
Never. Literally, never again was my thought.
Well, we just had a funeral for a buddy that started like the
Chris.
Philly open mic scene, and he was like one of the first people I met, and I had like this crazy bravado of like, because like you'd put your name in and they'd rig it so like if you were new you'd go at the end of the night to
Yep.
like weed out people that didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my buddy were like standing around. I was like, "You're gonna put me out because I'm better than all these people."
Oh my god.
And that wasn't my first open mic. My first, it was. I was
How
like
old were you
maybe
when
like
you
a
were starting?
couple weeks in. But I'm 35 now, and it'll be 9 years in February. So I think like 26.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I had lived in New York, and then moved back to Delaware, and then started comedy when I was in Delaware, and then moved back to New York.
You've had so many. Your
It's a lot
your
of
life
hopping.
makes no sense to me. There's
It's
so much-
crazy.
You've lived so much.
It's
because
crazy.
I know my buddy goes to law school, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going with a friend of mine. We're going to see a comedian at the Cellar." And I was like, "Who is it?" He goes, "Oh, he used to teach my friend in like grade school." I was like, who are you going to see? He was like, Ian Fidance. I was like,
That's
Ian was
wild.
trusted with the youth of America.
Yeah,
You were a
I used to
teacher
be a
at a point?
teacher. Yeah, dude, I've had a million jobs. And especially just to like make comedy work, I would just do anything during the day to like make just scrape by to be able to do comedy.
What were you
Yeah.
teaching?
Well, I taught a lot. I was like a substitute teacher, and then I
got
taught.
called You got called up to the big leagues.
I got called up to the big leagues to teach test prep.
Oh hell yeah!
you
You have
know.
arrived, man.
But I was like a substitute teacher for a bit, and that's when I taught that kid,
Yeah.
which is like wild. He's come to a couple shows,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because I've never recognized him, and like he's like such a genuinely like sweet, wonderful kid. But he like dresses like such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like
It's his
no, just like super
I don't know him
rich.
well.
Like one time he dressed, he truly looked like a like a boat captain.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the oh my God, I know you.
Well, that's what he said is he was sitting in the front row and he was like, the kid's like, I'm from Delaware. You're like, I'm from Delaware. And then what town are you from?
Wilmington.
He was like, where? You were like, where? And he was like, Wilmington. You're like, I'm from Wilmington.
Yeah,
he was like,
yeah.
yeah, you taught me. And you're like, what? And then you like recognized who he was.
Yeah. And then
They
I
were
was
our
like,
rivals in college, Wilmington.
and I was
when
like,
played baseball.
reroute material. Oh, who'd you?
Felician University I went to. Our big rivals it was the CACC
Was it Del
conference.
State?
No, it was Wilmington University, that college. there.
Oh,
they were our
okay.
rivals in our division. They were like a weirdly very good Division II baseball team.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had some buddies that played for them.
Probably. We did not like each other from what I recall. I don't
Really?
Yeah, I think I didn't really get to ever play them. So I got
Were
hurt
you
pretty
like
quickly.
a Ty Cobb player, like real
Racist?
like
No.
no, just like spikes up, slide it like sidekick into home
well, I was a
plate.
pitcher, but I was definitely like that. Yeah, I mean, with all like the stuff that's been coming out with the Astros cheating recently, like I cheated for sure.
Yeah, you're like,
Nuh-uh.
what's wrong with any of
Pine tar,
that?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I would keep pine tar on the inside of my belt because one, it helped with grip, but if you mixed it with certain like petroleum jellies, it would be good for movement. But I would keep it on the inside of my belt because no umpire wanted to go near a kid's crotch.
Why would you do that? You're ruining the sanctity of the game.
Dude, when you're playing ball in the Northeast as a pitcher in Jersey, you're starting in usually like early March, so you still got some 30, 40-degree days out there.
And the pine tar makes you warmer?
It makes you feel the ball. You lose.
Oh, I should have fucking pine tar to feel this mic right now. Jesus Christ.
Oh, imagine I just pulled out some pine.
I know.
It is. My nipples are so hard.
Dude, I mean, you're in a t-shirt.
I know. I wasn't expecting
You're
the draft.
crazy.
You know what? We're at a low level. I think we're getting hit with each gust that comes
I know.
in.
Well, heat rises. Put
And
me on
also
these
before
shelves.
when the big thing came in before, a guy on a
Wheelchair.
rascal came in. So it took a long time for him to get in here.
I know.
So
Hurry
there's a lot
up,
of errands
wheels.
with him. Yeah, when he rolled down the little incline, the gust.
Pedal to
was-
the metal, pal.
He didn't
Hurry
understand.
up.
Imagine it was
I mean, this
That's
is
your next
insane.
job, Ian. We'll hire you here to
Dude,
insult
can
the
I tell
disabled.
you, honestly, I've worked like every blue collar fucking like nose of the grindstone piss and vinegar job ever. And if I told one of those dudes like, yeah, today I'm doing a podcast in a deli, they'd be like, oh man, if you're gay, it's cool. Just like,
Just
don't
let
do
us
none
know.
of that on me, man. You know.
But here's I get stuck on the teaching thing because I only know 35-year-old Ian. Was this the look that you had? Were you teaching the youth with the mustache?
I had a
And
mustache and I've had like facial hair since I could grow it.
I'm just imagining you like a kid raising his hand and you like having a cigarette in your hand and being like, shut up.
Oh my god.
Let me
Well,
finish
like,
the lesson.
dude, I mean, first of all, when the kids smell cigarette smoke on you, they really give you a talking to.
Yeah.
Like kids have been trained to hate cigarettes, and they like treat you like you're like, come into my van, you know.
Oh, they talk
And it
down
sucks
to
when
you.
you're doing that in your van. What?
They were talking down to you.
Yeah. They're like, Mr. Cigarettes are bad. I'm like, yeah. So is not being able to locate America on a map. So fucking pay attention. But like I was I mean I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober a while, but like I was obviously like struggling with alcohol at the time, which is like why I lost one of my teaching jobs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it wasn't a thing of like they didn't catch me like drinking, but my attendance record was just like so poor that they were like, don't come back. And it was like such a cake job of like, it was where I was a student teacher, I was doing an all right job, and then like I missed a parent teacher conference because I like, you know, did too much computer duster at my apartment and couldn't go in and like meet the parents. You know what I mean? But you know, like one time I missed
through the nozzle.
and then one time I missed like half a week because I like, you know, was like so drunk. But then I was like, I was in the hospital and I couldn't call you. And they're like, well, what happened the other day? I was like, I got jumped, and they like show us a police record. I was like, I was too much in the hospital. Like it was bad. But then they hired me as a full-time sub, and I was so great. And all I had to do was just keep showing up, and they were so like stuck for like teachers. All I had to do was just like show up, and I couldn't do it. Every day it was like a pipe burst. I can't come in. You know, my grandmother died. I have to go to a funeral because my other grandmother died. You know, I had all these grandmothers that were dying.
Just
Can
dying
I
all
help
the
you?
time.
And I ended up just like, being such a fuck up that I had to like move home and be a carpenter to like live.
Yeah.
And then
Jesus
I just
route.
like stayed in. I am very Jesus.
When
Yeah.
people
You know,
see
I was-
Ian, they think Christ-like. You know what
I mean, I was a teacher.
He'd
I'm
be
very
shivering in his robe right
compassionate.
now.
Good
you
with the
know,
youth.
teacher, good with the youth. You know,
Van.
Van.
I don't know if that carries over. I don't think Jesus
I
had
hang
it.
out with whores. You know,
The list goes on and on.
on
You're
and
able
on
to
and
turn
on. I
anything
did
into-
have long hair.
You've used that excuse with the cops. This was water when I started.
I have
drinking
died
it.
and come back to life.
Yeah, I
you
believe
know?
that.
It's very. I'm so
There's
close.
a lot of similarities.
So
I
close.
think it's
I
so
don't know if
funny
he was
though
from
that,
Delaware, but
that you're missing work, but you're the substitute.
I know.
So they're
Yeah,
like,
so they get a
call-
sub for the sub. So I was like fucking them so hard, but I was just like, you know, what do I teach? I just drink vodka at 6 a.m. It was
But
like
did
vodka.
Did you ever
But
drink?
then I would show up like drunk,
Yeah.
and then when it was like really bad, I would go, and I would like wake up and do shots, do like a gravity bong, get to work, and go to the deli, which is now a bank, and get a beer and chug it in a phone booth, and then puke in a trash can on the way up to school, and then be like, okay, today we're learning how to read.
yeah, like, you're
how
facing
old,
the wrong
how
way.
old were the kids you were teaching?
High school.
Oh, so they were old enough to possibly piece this together.
Well, when I was drunk, I was like such a cool teacher. I was like, we're not doing a lesson today. Let's just talk about being polite and treating people like people.
I get why they come back to see him do shows.
Yeah,
This
right.
sounds like the best teacher.
You
Did
know?
you? Did you? You never drank during class though.
No. But I would go to my car and smoke weed,
Yeah.
which is like, if you've ever met a teacher,
Yep.
all of them are such alcoholics.
Yeah.
Dude, if you meet a preschool teacher, they're high all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I think when on the road, most of the people offering drugs or smoking after shows, a lot of them are teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers love partying
but
at
here's the
comedy
thing.
shows.
Here's what pisses me off. This whole idea, and I just did a terrible job making the argument that teachers deserve, you know, understanding and better pay. And
They're all
everything.
they're all derelicts.
But aside from me, this is ridiculous. I won't tell anyone your password. Aside from me, teachers deserve a lot. They do a ton of work. They deserve a lot more pay and respect from the teachers I was around. You know, but also, dude, that's what fucking like union carpenters do. So many people survive by just like getting drunk and fucked up and like going to work to
Smoke
make
2
it
joints
better.
in the morning.
You know, yeah, everyone's a Sublime song waiting to happen.
It's so true. But it is a weird thing, like, as I get older and the facade of, like, what adulthood is completely starts to diminish. Like, when you're a kid, you think that all your teachers are, like, the epitome of being an adult.
Yeah,
and
and
then
you
see who
find
your
out
friends
Mrs.
are.
Silverman's doing rails of coke in the bathroom. And
Yeah.
you're like,
So
no
we're at
wonder
the
she did
Fidance household doing a little
cited.
keyboard cleaner
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
Tuesday.
Like I
Oh, that
definitely
was
have
bad.
What is
friends.
that like? I've never.
I
I never
mean-
got
I
into
didn't know people did the cleaner.
Computer duster?
like the
It's
thing
called
that had,
hippie
like,
crack.
The long straw on it.
Yeah,
Hippie
yeah,
crack?
dude. It's called hippie crack, and it has a bitterant in it to deter you away from sucking it. But you really get over that fast.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
You
so
know.
I thought you were just going right up the nose.
No. It's
You're huffing it.
I'm
In the
thinking of,
mouth.
like the one with like the straw that's
Yeah,
like
I'm thinking of the
5 feet
straw in
long,
hands.
so you gotta have your
oh,
buddy
you can do
crank
the
it
straw
for
too.
you.
Well, you know, but it's. I'm telling you, if you've ever done like acid or mushrooms, hippie crack will make you hallucinate harder and more realistic than anything you've ever done in
Really?
your life. Yeah.
It's
What the hell
just
is in
all-
the
it's all
computer
chemicals,
duster?
right?
And it's only for 30 seconds. Well, it freezes your
30
brain.
seconds.
It doesn't last long. And like, dude, I got caught by my mom one time and I was in my room. I was huffing computer duster and it totally turns you nuts.
Yeah.
Like
It
in
freezes
my
your brain
head,
for real?
It freezes your brain.
Like
I mean,
Disney?
I died. I was on my couch one time doing it and then I woke up face down, freezing in a puddle of vomit. My face was
Oh.
blue and I was like for 6 months I couldn't access certain things in my head. I had like a permanent ringing in my ear,
Yeah.
and I hadn't done it since then. That was like
Your
my
keyboard must
wake
have been
up
so
call.
dirty.
Yeah, you know that's not what it's for, right?
That's how he got caught. His mom walked by and was like, "Look at the dust on this
Dude,
keyboard."
He's
I
like, I
did-
gotta get my life together. My
I did
keyboard's
it.
a
I
mess.
did it in my mom's house one time, and like I was like doing a duster, and in my room, I thought in my head
vernacular.
I was down. I was on my back. We had a slab of concrete in the backyard. I thought I was having a big barbecue. All my friends are there. I'm flipping burgers. We're hanging out. But in reality, I'm in my room. It's called fishing out. And I was laying in bed going, and my mom came in, and I woke up, and she's literally staring over my head going, Ian, were you breathing in your air again? And I was like, no. And she goes, don't lie to me. And I go, yes. She was like, stop it. I was like, well, I'm out. And it was just, woo.
You breathing in your air.
Yeah. She said she heard like, and then she just heard like nothing and thought I died and came up, and I was just like flopping around in my bed. But in my head, I thought I was eating like the best burgers ever. You know.
But you said it only lasts.
You were having a whole barbecue.
Yeah, but then I had to go get more stuff, so I was like, I need
is it
mustard.
Is it like when you're doing it, you'll do it once, or is it like 30?
Christ. Well, look, I'll get back to you in a jiff. Sorry. God, I'm dropping fucking Bosco. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was so funny. You got so
You're
startled
the first
by
prop
the...
comic we've had in here.
Oh, my God.
Would it be like after 30 seconds you'd come to and be like, all right, I'm good, or were you like, I'm doing another?
Well, I mean, when you're with friends, they're just laughing at you because you're like so ridiculous looking. And then like people die doing it because there was a thing where like people do it in their car, and like people think it would be like a blunt ride, like you're driving and you do it, and then they just crash into a tree.
Yeah.
It was like all these dumb high schoolers.
You were in your bed. You thought you were at a barbecue. What would you think you were at if you were driving?
Dude, one time
a
I
car?
was in the
think you're in
passenger
bed.
seat, and I thought an ex-girlfriend was trying to grab my hand to pull me like into a room, but in reality, I was just going underneath the glove box, like
Fishing out.
yeah, fishing out, dude. It was, I mean, Jesus. One time, a buddy of mine fell back into my mom's kitchen, what's it called? Like, not like a bureau, like a stupid like remember those islands on wheels?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
An island on a...
He fell back into one, like a cupboard.
Yeah.
And he fell back into that and then spilled all my dog's dog food. He was like, I gotta stop. I mean, at one point, my friends like had to hide it from me, and it's like, well, you know, that's like
your
such a,
friend
that's like the
stepped in.
definition of Delaware, having an intervention for a hippie crack instead of like heroin.
Keep drinking.
Yeah,
But you got to get off the stuff.
Yeah.
They
Don't.
had to
You're not
keep-
allowed in a PC Richards.
That'd keep you away from Staples.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny how like certain drugs really take in certain areas. Like when I in New Jersey, I mean, I wasn't big into doing drugs in high school, but no one I knew did that.
Yeah.
But if you go to other parts of the country, they'll be like, we lick men in speed sticks to get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like-
Well, I mean, it's just a thing of boredom and no access to like legit drugs. So you're just like, what can I do around the house?
Yeah.
You know?
Never thought to play sports, maybe?
I did, but then I grew up.
Fair.
Transition seamlessly into huffing cleaner.
I was trying to. I was trying to.
hard right into adulthood.
Yeah. I was trying to relive my glory days as a JV cross country runner. You know. That's why I did drugs, because I could never be a good athlete.
It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
What did you say were you like, shut up, Gail, and let me do my stuff?
No, it was just like,
That's like such a weird moment to come to. Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible.
What
So
was
I just
the
went and got
weirdest
drunk.
job you had in Delaware? I feel like you might have had some weird ones.
Oh, definitely going door to door, getting people to sign up for free construction estimates. That was,
Really?
Yeah.
Why? I guess it's just you're seeing such a weird array of people, right?
And also, it's a town I grew up in, so I'm seeing people that knew me as a kid, and they're like, "Really?
Yeah.
This is what you
Yeah.
turned into?"
Oh, yeah.
You
that's
know?
tough.
And then I got to get an update on their kids that are like, they're married, their trajectory's great. And I'm like, I'm living in a halfway house because I was addicted to alcohol and computer duster. But I'm glad Tony's doing well.
Yeah.
By the way, you need new windows.
Telling me should have hid it from me better.
Yeah.
What's Steve doing? He works at PC Richards and Son. You're like, give him my number. I'm gonna need to
Really?
talk to him.
Oh, interesting.
Your plug is
the
just a
one on
salesman.
Kirkwood Highway. You know, I just run there. But that job was like so weird.
Was that your least favorite job?
No, I actually ended up loving it because it was like so ridiculous, and like it really helped me with because I started doing comedy when I was doing that job.
Yeah.
And it's like you go to these houses, you got to be on, you got to know how to improvise, you got to pitch. The people are saying no, they're calling the police, they're yelling at you, they're threatening to shoot you with a gun. You want to die, so you dare them, and then you got to forget it and you go to the next house. You got to start over.
Yeah.
Just clean the slate.
Yeah.
That is true. It's like bombing at a mic. You're like, you got to be able to move on.
Yeah.
And just keep doing it.
So did you ever have to bark or sell tickets for stage time? You were probably bulletproof if you ever had to.
Oh, I mean, everybody did.
Yeah,
You know,
I sold tickets in
I
Times
started
Square.
out in the Village barking and everything, and I
barking
stopped
for that
that
old
like
lantern?
pretty fast. Yeah. After a while, I flat out was like, I guess I just won't get stage time because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so demoralizing.
You thought that was more demoralizing than the door-to-door seeing people you grew up with?
Yeah. That's how
Yeah.
bad barking is.
I would agree. I think when there was like a year I sold tickets in Times Square for New York Comedy Club, and that was
Yeah.
even harder because
Well, I feel like selling in Times Square is better because you have the anonymity of being lost in the tourist. But when you're doing it outside of the venue you're at, and it's in the Village,
Yeah.
so you're seeing comics you respect, comics you know, and they did it too. But in your mind, you're like,
you
I'm
can't
being
get past it.
judged, you know. And then that thing of like, you get the people in, and you got to go at the end of the show, and then you make that joke of like, wow, what's the guy selling tickets doing on stage?
you have to
you
get
know,
one in.
you're just like, oh, what
Yeah,
the
dude.
fuck? And
I
then
was
I
selling
couldn't
in
deal with
Times
people
Square, then
turning
going
me
to the
down,
Lantern.
and
Yeah. No, that's
just-
true. When I was really new to it, I didn't really think of that. I was like, yeah, this is what you do. You go up at the end of the show. But as I was more immersed in it, I was like, it seems a little unprofessional because they don't know that you're a comedian. The people in the
Yeah.
crowd, and they're like, what the fuck are they putting up?
Yeah.
It makes it almost feels unprofessional. you know, to
but
them.
it's like everyone's done it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
But then that's like a thing of like, you know, you do it and you claw your way past it, you know, and that was like way more demoralizing than the door-to-door stuff.
yeah.
I would say.
You
When
know.
I would go from in the afternoon selling tickets in Times Square, and then I would go to the Lantern at night and bark for the 2 late shows. And the guy who was
Yeah.
running it at that point, who no longer does, he would put himself up in the middle of the show before the
And do like
barkers.
30 minutes.
Yep, he would do
I
30
think
to
I know
45.
who you're talking about.
10 minutes
Yeah.
of interpretive dance.
Oh, dude.
the
I
Buddha.
mean, when the Lantern switch hands so many times,
Yeah.
and like it's so funny to like
That downstairs room was really great, though. It was
that
like a rite of
downstairs.
passage.
I mean, dude, that downstairs room was like people would throw candle votives at
Yeah.
you. It was insane, man.
pitch black. You couldn't really see who was fucked with you ever in that room.
And then like you'd do the weeknights and you'd be like, oh my god, I might get a weekend spot because the weekend was like a legit thing, you
Yeah.
know. And then it was just like I remember like. I mean that it was just such a knives out insane thing, and there was no other room. It was just a downstairs. You had to lure people into a gross basement.
And
You know,
you had to go down such a steep flight of stairs. Like
Yeah.
you felt like you were bringing someone to something that you didn't.
oh
need to bring
yeah,
them to.
but it
You
like
felt
made
bad.
you so much better because the cards were stacked so high against you. It was like doing a podcast in a deli. It was
Yeah,
like
right.
whose
Really
idea
tough.
is this?
Yeah,
You
you're starting
know?
below sea level for sure.
I think we are below sea level. We're at least below
well,
olive level.
Were you always like, because for the people who haven't seen,
What are you
for the
gonna
three,
ask after
for,
this? Were you always cold?
for the three, yeah, have you always been cold,
Yes.
even during the huffing days?
I run cold. What was I always what?
Were you always like, because you were like
He's not finding the word.
fearlessly chaotic on stage. Were you always like
Yeah.
that?
Fearlessly
No.
Chaotic. That's a good album title.
I love that. That's great. That'll be my follow up to Ian Fidance, Black Girl Magic.
Yeah, right.
Go
Go ahead, delve into that one a little bit.
No,
That's your first
I,
album,
I
right?
had to get there because I was not, and it was like killing me. Because you know, New York is very much like a writer town. Like you sit still and you write. Like Dan, you're an incredible writer. You know,
Thank
and
you.
and that takes a lot. And that's like what everyone. I feel like that's a model of being a New York comic. Is like. You're you know this Todd Barry like sniper or
Oh,
whatever.
God, yeah.
And I
albums
tried
are
that,
great.
but that's not true to like who I am. I am like a fiercely chaotic person, and my goal was always to be who I am on stage, a representation of who I am in real life. But my
Yeah.
stage persona was not who I was in real life, and I felt like I was gonna put a fucking shotgun in my mouth if I didn't just like let loose
Yeah.
on stage. And so like finding that was really important, and I found it through like multiple mental breakdowns of like just this realization of like you gotta like let loose and just be yourself all the time, because it's like I'm this person here, and then over here I'm this person,
Right.
and over here I just couldn't do it
So you
anymore.
found it through multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, and then like those personalities molded together, you know, and I ended up finally having fun on stage. And I feel like that's when I'm best in my personal life or in my professional life, when I'm having like the most fun.
Yeah.
And audiences genuinely, I think now I feel more than ever can read when you're having fun up there. They want.
And I'm not a good liar.
A good time.
You know, like I can't lie. I can't like fake it. And I have to just be like, I'm fucking miserable, you know? And then it's funny because that unlocks the thing of like, oh, wow, now I'm having fun. And it's cool to see that like change, you know? But thank you for that.
Because the first time I ever saw you, I was probably like a year in. And you did it. We were on I was like barking for a show that you were on like a Sunday at 3, and there was like 7 people in the room, and I was like, this is gonna suck. And then I watched you go up there, and you were like, it may as well have been a packed room. I was like, oh, this guy is unfazed by the amount of people, and they loved it.
Yeah.
But you were also like going on. You're like, I'm depressed, and you did like you were going through a bit of a spiral at that moment.
Yeah.
It's great fun for me.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
But I was like, oh shit, that's where you want to get to. Is like,
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
One of my favorite comedy memories is we were on the same show. We were standing outside the venue. You hadn't gone up yet. Me, Ryan Donahue, and Andrea Allen had all gone up, and it was hell. I mean, it was a bar show. It wasn't fun. The hecklers were brutal. And we're standing outside talking about how bad it was, and Ian walks up, and we're just like, how's your day been going so far? And he's like, good, just had a good spot. We're like, you going up? He's like, yeah. We're like, it's not worth it. You should go home. And he's like, all right, thanks. And he just went home.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a fun moment. We were just like, dude, it's not worth it. If you really had a good set tonight, this will bring it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That felt so good.
That was such a fun little comedy moment.
Yeah. To like know my value. To be like, I don't need this.
No.
That's been like, I've found so much power in like saying no, or like even if, you know, like not hanging out somewhere if I don't want to be there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because like I feel like in comedy we're such people pleasers, and like we have that thing in our head, and I've done it a million times, and I had to learn it by doing it, of like, oh, you bomb, I'm gonna get them.
Yeah.
And then when you don't get them, you're like, I'm the worst thing ever. And it's like, I don't need that. I feel good. I feel great.
Yep.
I had a good day. I just had a banger. I'm not gonna erase all that by going up and trying to make some German chick who's drunk laugh for a minute. Like,
Right.
I don't need this.
Yeah.
And I was like, good, thank you. Good heads up. And I just left.
It's
true.
good to go
That
out
felt
on the high
awesome.
horse.
Well, you're told when you're new, you're like, you got to get up as much as you can. There's no such thing as bad. You got to do it, and it's true in the beginning. But it's
Yeah.
like there's diminishing returns if it's bad for your psyche
Right.
at a certain point. Like,
Yeah, but now my thing is like having to do that more and have more of a personal life, instead of like, I got to be up all the time. I got to be here. I got to be there. If I'm not working, I'm not
Yeah.
value. I got to be like, okay, no, I need a night off, or like, I'm going to go hang out with a old friend, or like, you know, I got to go to a wedding coming up, and I'm like marrying a guy I've been best buds with since we were 10. And I'm like lamenting that I am missing work. And it's
Yeah.
like, what? You
Yeah.
know, but that's like the addictive thing in me. But I gotta learn to be like, no, I'm gonna have a good time. Like
Yeah.
allowing yourself
life.
to live a life.
Yeah.
is
That
what
does
I
also
need to
help
like
on
work
stage, living a life.
Yeah, totally.
more
So many comics
experience.
forget.
it's like,
Yeah.
if your whole life is just doing stand up, what are you drawing from?
Without
at
a
that point?
doubt.
Also,
yeah.
Did
You
you
get-
say you're marrying him? Like you're doing
the officiating?
Are you
yeah.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, I just filled something out online, and then now I'm just
Is it that simple?
a deacon.
That's
or
what I was
whatever.
gonna, it's always the person I would least expect is like, yeah, I'm an ordained minister. I
Dude,
can do
so many people do it. It's like, it just makes you realize that everything we're a part of is a sham.
it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd like to marry someone. I wanted to be a deacon at a period of time.
Did you?
I don't know why. I was a religious studies major for
I
one
wanted
year
to
in
be
college.
a priest when I was younger.
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was ever in my head that I liked religion, but I did like it. Even
you
my 1 year
Italian?
in college, yeah. And my aunt was my
a little bit.
religious, what do they call it? A CCD. That's what they call it. in my
Oh,
town.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was my CCD teacher. At one point, I was such a bad kid in class that she tried having me excommunicated.
Really?
Like she tried getting me like kicked out of the CCD
That's
program.
like no one's done that since like Vatican II. You know?
I had to
my
write
God.
her like 30 active contritions on note cards,
That's
like
helpful.
profusely.
She
I was
made a
so
different
bad.
color smoke go out of the classroom. We need a replacement.
I remember when I passed the final CCD test, she wrote on it, "You are destined to be a man of the cloth," like as a joke. 'cause
Oh,
I finally
God.
did well.
Oh, my God.
You wanted to be a priest?
Yeah, I used to love God.
That's why that's so funny to hear. The last time I saw Ian on stage was at the Stand, and there was this guy sitting in the front row, and the two people before you went up to like said on stage, you're like, "Oh, you're a handsome guy," and then you know, the next guy went on stage and was like, oh yeah, you are a handsome guy. And then Ian gets on stage and looks at the guy and goes, holy shit, and points to the woman next to him and goes, I would eat your pussy just to suck his dick. Very priestly, if you will.
Yeah. I'm a man of the cloth, but my cloth is just a cum rag.
And it has a hole cut out in the middle. Oh, my cloth is a cum rag.
That's got to be your new Instagram bio. Did you, well, you've worked so many jobs. Did you ever have like a really good firing story? Like when you kind of stopped teaching, did they sit you down and they're like, hey man?
No, it's funny. Like my firings have always been like, yeah, you're right. I've never defended myself on a firing.
Yeah.
I've never been like, but.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Sorry.
slide whistle in your pocket?
Yes.
And a Confederate flag?
What?
No, I'm joking. Hey, look, from this angle, that looks like a Confederate flag.
Oh no, it's a Christmas card that was very nice given to me, and I look at it
What
when
do you
I feel
have the
sad.
slide whistle for?
What do I have a slide whistle
Did you
for?
steal that from T.J. Miller?
Because you never know when you need one.
You were more cartoon character than human sometimes.
I know. I really am.
Is that really? You just like to have it on you?
Let it rip.
Yeah. I usually try to do it when something really depressing happens. You know.
That is a good antidepressant. That's better than a
It is.
pill.
Yeah.
I bet that brings you right back to happiness.
You can't not smile.
How
You
loud
know.
is it? Like, will people look?
I mean, it is pretty sad that we're doing a podcast in a deli.
It is hard to be sad with
See?
that. I just picture. I don't know why this was the first thing I thought about, but I just thought of a dog getting hit by a car and then Ian in the back with the
Just
slide whistle.
Very subtly across
Oh
the
my
street.
God, his spleen's everywhere.
See, I don't know. I don't know where like Ian the comedian ends and Ian the real person begins, because I can't imagine.
There
I
is
have to
none.
imagine
It's
that
gotta be
like in the
seamless.
bedroom, if something bad happens, Ian just grabs that off the nightstand.
Well,
and
that's the
lets it rip.
sound I make when I come.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting that you get your vocals to sound like that.
Yeah. No, there's.
Stovetop.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
God damn it.
I very much can separate the comedian from like the person.
You could turn it off.
Yeah, but it's not that I'm always on. I just love being like silly and laughing, but I very much have an incredibly like serious and introspective and thoughtful side.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
From those deep dust trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you peel back the layers of the onion that is your brain.
Yeah,
So
you
get
People
into
go
that
on ayahuasca
subconscious-
retreats.
Yeah.
Not Ian.
just do Duster in a Office Max.
That's great, doing it in there.
Yeah.
You think you're having a great conversation, you're really just fishing out on the
Ugh.
An interesting intersection of me and Ian for a night is one of my favorite bands is the Lumineers. And one night they walked in front of me on McDougal Street, and I fangirled and didn't say a single thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it's the Lumineers. Wasn't able to say anything. They walked down the street that night and went to Greenwich. They
Yeah.
saw Ian, and he's become like friends with them ever since that night.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I opened for them.
And
No
that was the
way.
night,
Yeah.
And that was the night I like fangirled and wasn't able to say anything to them. That's the night his friendship with them started.
Yeah.
How
did
wild
you,
is that?
Where did you open for them?
In Brooklyn at this like huge
Where else
event.
would you open for the Lumineers?
Yeah, they
in
like do
Brooklyn?
they do like
They're doing Barclays Center.
I was gonna say they
I've
do
seen
the
them in
lead
Madison
singer-
Square Garden.
The lead singer Wes and I become buddies.
They're from
when
Jersey.
He gave me the keys to his yurt in upstate New York, and I've stayed there.
What a
You know,
what a Lumineers sentence. That sounds like
Yeah.
a Lumineers album. The Lumineers.
even
he's
know
like the
you're
sweetest
tagged.
dude.
Ian,
He sent
mi
we,
casa, su
we
casa,
yeah we
buddy.
like I send him pictures of my cat. He sends me pictures of his kid. We're he's become like a dear friend.
I thought
How
you were
cool
gonna
is that?
say that.
Yeah, it was wild. Do you not realize what's going on?
We're talking about the Lumineers here. Come on.
That
child.
slide whistle material right there. No respect for the artistry.
What is it like opening for a
Well-
band like that? Because there's people who open for punk rock bands, which is a different type of crowd
Yeah.
than the Lumineers
Well,
crowd.
it was
I
like
feel
a
they
thing of like
comedy.
that thing about like there was like 7 people there or whatever. And again, that goes back to punk rock because I grew up. I was in a ska band, and I grew up very much in like the punk ska and like
Yeah.
hardcore scene, and that like music and ethos it played such an important role in my life. And the thing was, if you're on stage performing and there's 7 people there, 5 people at the Saint in Asbury Park, New Jersey, you know, at these venues, you're not going to play like you're over it. You're there with your buddies. You're playing your heart out like it's fucking packed.
Yeah.
And the goal playing music is to get people to dance. And if you're into it, they'll get into it and they'll dance and you'll have this connection, this moment. And I feel like even if there's 7 people there, you're not better than them.
No, when a comic goes up and the first thing they do is shit on the size of the room, it's like
Yeah.
you're digging yourself such a deep
Exactly,
hole now. Make
man.
them happy
Own
that-
it. Make them want to dance.
Show them that you wanna be there as well.
Make it a thing that you share together. And at Greenwich at night, there was like barely anyone there, and every comic was going up and like embarrassed and like recognizing the guy from the Lumineers and being like, "I'm so sorry. This is." And I went up there and I was like, "Are you really in the Lumineers?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Sorry, man. Look, I was in a ska band in high school. I get it, you know." And then I just
Rock
played.
star
I just
lifestyle.
played to those like 15 people like it was a packed fucking room, and I had fun because that's the thing. Like I can't do stand up unless I'm having fun, and odds are if I'm having fun, everyone else is. And so he really like dug that from being in bands and playing for years to no one and having to like own it and everything. So we started talking and, you know, we exchanged numbers and became like buds and everything. And that was like a really cool moment to have that thing. And I wasn't doing it for anyone else but myself, but to have that like recognized as a thing of like, because I feel like comedians and musicians are very similar. You know what I mean?
'cause
Like,
you didn't mail it in. You went up there and gave us that. And he was
yeah,
like, oh, this
yeah,
is sick.
yeah. And also, you know, being on the road and like struggling for so long and like getting a break and like all this stuff. Like the same thing happens with like musicians, except they have each other and we have, you know, no one.
Yeah. I
And,
saw them in Madison Square Garden, and at a point of the concert, they raised the stage in like the middle of the floor level, and it was decorated like an old New York bar. And they're like, this is how we came up. We want to play like this. They played on like a little raised platform in the middle of
That's
MSG.
awesome.
I thought you were
That's
gonna say that
awesome.
like a platform came out of the ground and Ian just came up naked with like a saxophone and just let it
And a
rip.
cape, and my dick was
His
painted
opening
like a
act for
slide
them is
whistle.
just Duster.
Well, opening for them was wild, you know, because I talked to like Todd Barry and Shane Torres who have opened for like bands and stuff before, and it's very much a thing of like mentally you got to realize you're not going to get everyone because no one's there for you.
Yeah.
So it's like just don't play to like the whole entire room because it was like I don't know, it was like 1,400 people or whatever, and most I played to like the first couple rows, and then that reverberated back. But further back, they
It's like when you
could
do a
not
check
give
spot,
fuck
focus
less.
on the one person who's not paying the check and
Yeah,
grow
yeah,
the
yeah,
laughter
yeah.
from there.
Oh my
Focus on the
God,
one
check
person who's
spots.
laughing.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
But and also they gave me Todd gave me a really good tip that I then talked to Wes about of like, can you come out and physically like verbally introduce me
Yeah.
as like your you know, like friend or whatever, just so that they associate me with legitimacy and a connection with you, so that like they see that the band is vouching for you. So it's like, okay, this guy must be something, rather than just having a god mic of welcome to the stage, nobody. You
Right.
know what I mean? So that helped
some
out a
authority
lot.
that's a really good point because otherwise
You
it just
know.
seems they're like, what did the venue hire this guy?
Exactly. And they wanted me to open the show and then at like, you know, 6:30 and them not go on until like 8:45. And I
Oh.
was like, that's going to be hell.
Oh my god.
So I talked to them and they like obviously like worked it out to where I open and then they like go on and it was so cool seeing them.
How much time did you end up doing?
And me?
Yeah.
I did like 15 to 20.
Nice.
And they like dug it, and you know they are gonna bring me back to do like a couple theaters with
That's
them,
awesome.
which is like crazy. But like they seeing them perform was like so great. They have a piano player, his name's Stealth, like I think Volag. I'm not 100%, but
What a
seeing
hell of a
him
name.
perform, he's barefoot and he's throwing every part of himself into it. He's jumping on the piano, spinning around, whatever, and like seeing musicians perform and what they're doing and making is going into connection with the whole to produce another thing, but
Yeah.
seeing them in that, you know, singular moment of this guy's like, he could just be playing, but he's so involved and into it that he's like throwing every part of himself,
feeling
into
it, actually.
and that's like what I want to do on stage. Like when
Yeah.
people are like, what comic do you want to be? It's like, no, I want to be like musicians. I
Yeah.
want to be like the Bad Brains. I want to be like Tom Waits. I want to be like, you know, the Misfits on stage.
I
You know,
agree.
I want to be like a Warren Zevon. And that's the kind of reaction and connection I want to have to the audience that I'm performing for.
I feel like there is a rhythm to comedy. I feel like there should be more comparisons to music with it because the way they
Yeah.
perform is incredible.
Yeah.
Like actually feeling it. Like I heard a musician say that when she sings her song, she tries to bring herself back to the mindset she was in when she wrote that
Yeah.
song. And like I try to do that with bits now. Like regardless of whether I was happy or fucked up when I wrote it, I
Yeah.
try to, when I tell it, bring myself back to what
Yeah.
I was thinking when I
And,
wrote
and
it.
that's what's so hard about comedy is you have to do the bit to get through it, to like you have to say it a million times. When you say something a million times, it becomes robotic. So
Yeah.
the goal, like that's a hard thing of like selling it as new every time, or like and that helps if you emotionally go back into that moment.
yeah,
instead of
just
just
makes
like
it more
reading the
real instead of
script.
just the recital.
Yeah. But there are some comics that are just so good and such strong writers that they're just like, here's a joke. You read it on paper, and it's as funny as when I
Yep,
say
they just
it.
plant their feet.
And I've found for me that it's not so much like what I say, but how I say it. Like my delivery and performance is like very much goes into the math equation of what the joke is.
Yeah.
Because if you read some of my jokes on paper, you're like, that's not funny. That's just like whatever. But I really take pride in like, not just like the lyrics, but how the song is sung, you know?
I appreciate that. I remember Artie Lang got in trouble once for like the transcript of something he said, and I was like, "That's a guy you can't take the transcript of what he
Yeah.
said. You need to watch him say it to
Yeah.
really see if it was harmful or
Yeah,
not."
but it's like tough because it's obviously not for everyone, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like very much like I have like a machete carving out this like road, but it's like it's my road.
it's
so-
it's an interesting road because on one side you're opening for the Lumineers, and then on the other you open for Dave Attell,
I
who is
know.
like the comedy opposite of what I picture the Lumineers to
I
be.
know. Well, he's also the comedy opposite of me, you know, like energy wise and everything, which I
Yeah.
think is like a good fit
But I feel
because
like he's so unique on stage, as are you. So it's two unique people up
that's
there.
the thing, yeah. And we're both like unique in a different way of like the energy and the presentation and everything. And I feel like that fits really well because I feel like, you know, there's this push for diversity and inclusion, which is like great, but I don't care about the optics of diversity. I care about the diversity of performance and content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you have an all-female lineup, like great, but what makes them like different? Like on the road, like two female comics like opening and closing, fucking great. But if their style's exactly the same, it's like, well, what are we doing? You know,
Yeah.
like if like, you know, you and you
styles
know
gel
like
together
Sam
well.
Morril are like going out on the road together. It's like this is great, both two amazing joke writers, both two very funny comics, but it's like very much kind of like the same. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to have like, so I feel like male female comics are great on the road together, like
Yeah,
black
I
white
bring a
or
male,
whatever.
I bring one male and one female on the
Yeah.
road when I do my tours.
And I personally feel as long as it's a different presentation, it's great. But optically, like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know,
It is really true. Like if you go see like a big name, oftentimes people don't really think much of the like, you know, like if like when I went to go see Louis C.K., it was I know he sold out Madison Square Garden, and the three openers, I think it was Rachel Feinstein, Joe List, and Marina Franklin.
Mhm.
And I walked away and I was like, well, that was the coolest part, was seeing those three.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I think that if it was three people, I mean, he's such a unique guy, but it was like
Yeah.
if it was three people who sounded exactly like him, no one would really be talking about
Yeah.
the openers, because it would
Yeah.
it would also just be like three people who sound like him, but he's the best at it.
And that's those three openers are such incredibly diverse topics, deliveries, humans, you know what I mean, which
Yeah.
is so important. And as long as it's like different stories and different point of views, that's great. But when you see these shows and it's all the same, but it's like, you know, Asians are funny too. And then it's like, okay, great. Yeah, I know, but show me, tell
Yeah.
me. But then they're all materials the same. It's like, what's so funny about hearing the same fucking thing?
Yeah,
you know?
the
It's just
material
like
has to-
it's like, you know, like this is all creamy Alfredo, but what separates the difference?
That
you
is
know?
like if
What's
if
the difference between Fredo and Rosa?
Well, yeah, that is a really good point because I you know when I booked shows before, it's like you want to make sure that you have different people.
Yeah.
But if if you end up having like 3 white guys and then and then it's like Ian comes on, it's like, well, Ian's totally different.
Right.
Like, it's so wildly out there.
Right, which is like tough too because on paper it's like, oh, there's just another white guy, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, motherfucker, give me 5 seconds.
I have a slide
you know?
whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bring a goddamn slide
Yeah.
whistle and computer
What do you bring to
cleaner.
the table?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, but I understand like that's where we're at and everything. And what's so frustrating is when you are a thoughtful booker and you do put these things into play, and then it's not appreciated. Or like me and Boris Hyken, who's one of my dear friends, hilarious comic. We years ago, back in like 2012, 2013, we had this show, and we would always book, you know, like. Blacks, whites, girls, guys, gays, and we like made
So
sure that the
progressive.
lineup was like diverse, right? But then the thing is, these people are funny, so they
Yeah.
get booked on better shows. So then you find a fill-in, right? And I remember we like worked so hard to have such a like good diverse lineup, you know, and not even for like whatever. It was just like we want our show to be fun and be different, you know, and a couple people had to back out. They got better gigs. We couldn't get whoever, and it was like an all-male lineup, whatever. And someone came up and goes, you know, it's really fucked up that you had no women on the lineup. And it's like, you stupid motherfucker. You don't realize what goes into this, and you don't even, you're just looking at it. You're not even thinking past
So many
the
day
fact
of
that there's such
cancellations.
great comics that they get booked on other things.
Yeah.
They're great. They're wanted here. Someone's sick. Da, da, da. They just see it and they go, no, not good.
Piecing
It's like,
together a
you
show last minute is very difficult to like
Yeah.
make all, when you fit the puzzle together and it falls apart and you got to put it together last minute, it doesn't go together the same way again.
Right.
I know.
There was a
I
plan,
know.
and
I
it's
just
tough.
wanted to rip out her little angel hairs. You know?
I saw you look back and I was like, what is he gonna work in
I
this
know.
story?
I know.
One thing I did find, you said when you open for the Lumineers, it's like you have to open for someone and the audience isn't there for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that with a comic as big as Dave, who has such a specific crowd, that they're there just to see him? Like, do you, or since they're comedy
Yeah, but
fans,
the thing is, his crowds are there for They're
that's what I'm
such good
saying. 'Cause they're a
crowds.
comedy crowd, they're probably
you
more.
know.
Because I've opened for some comics whose audience is there for them. And
Yeah.
one guy in Jersey, and they were not fun because
Yeah.
they had like T-shirts of his face on them.
Well, dude, I opened for Bert Kreischer too,
Yeah.
and his crowds are like shirtless in the crowd, like specifically for him, and it's a thing of like.
That's the same thing as them wearing merch.
Yeah,
It's
his
anti-merch
merch
he
is
invented.
no shirt, and it's like, I know they're not gonna give a fuck about me. I know they're whatever, so I gotta go up and fucking smack them in the face with my dick
Exactly.
so hard and make them fucking like me off the jump, or else it's like I gotta come out swinging, or else it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
you know.
That's like a party crowd. Do you feel like you got to go out and be like, "Are you guys excited to see Bert Kreischer?" to get him going or something like
Well,
that?
I mean, like I feel like when you're opening for a guy like that, it is your job to like, you know, warm up and get the crowd like you as like a host or like.
What do you need?
Getting coffee.
Well, you got a lot of options.
yeah.
Well,
This
you
is
know,
Ian, by the way.
Hey, what's up, man? If you
Go with-
want like a good classic, you go with Fold. No, you go chock full of nuts. If you want diarrhea, you go with Cafe Bastillo.
Folgers
If you
is a good
want
one.
to taste gunpowder, you go with Maxwell
Folgers is good.
House.
You know, Charles Manson killed their
Yeah.
daughter. We always bring that
You're
up.
welcome, man. Enjoy
Cafe
it. man.
Bustelo will ruin you for like days.
Really?
I
Absolutely
mean,
frantic.
it's an Acela Express to Diarrhea Town,
Is it? I don't
Yeah.
drink any coffee. Is that the one that makes you
Ah,
poo the
you
most?
gotta.
dude.
I gotta. I don't. I have
not,
enough
It's not even.
addictions.
It's more like gas at that point. It's like you're drinking gasoline.
It's. I mean,
I get
it's
the shakes
terrible.
on that.
Yeah.
The shakes from coffee.
It's just so jittery. Well,
I had a cup of tea today. I'm feeling good. I
Yeah.
like a tea, but I gotta piss so bad.
I got a piece. Is there
Yeah.
a bathroom in this?
There
town?
is. We got it.
Oh, is it for employees only?
Yeah, but you'll fit in.
Yeah, you gotta connect. It's employees and some nepotism.
I think it's the coldness that's nepotism.
You know.
I don't even get to. I've tried
Nippletism.
getting jobs here. My dad doesn't want to hire me. I forgot,
Hilarious.
I'm not supposed to say it's his deli.
no.
A random father.
Well, I don't know how much time we got.
We got like we could wrap up whenever we want. We're at,
Okay.
like, the
Yeah.
50
Well, the
minute
thing was,
mark.
I was gonna say
And
is,
we all have
you know,
places to
all
run.
I can see is what you post on Instagram, and it seems like the when you go out with Dave, everyone's very receptive to you. They like you very much.
Minus that
There's
guy
only
who you
one
signed his
guy
t-shirt.
who does not like you.
Well, it's funny because like the towns we go to, they bring me back to like headline, which is like great.
Yeah.
And I get a good reception because there's like fans like comedy, and to go out with him is like insane to begin with. You know what I mean?
And the growth you can make from just watching a guy like that on the night is
for
insane.
sure. But being around good comics, like when I'm on a show with like you or you, like dude, that time I saw you at the Pair and I hadn't seen you in a while, and you had stepped up your game so much. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like when you're around people that are working and getting better, it pushes you to get better. You know what I mean? And it's like you got to bomb to be better, but it's a thing of like, I want to do well in front of these people because I respect them and I want them to respect me. So you're constantly like pushing and pushing, and being around a guy like that, like obviously it's like, fuck, I got to step it up. And I feel like
especially
just
when
like
he brings you on stage with him. I mean, that's the ultimate step up.
It's crazy, but being in the city around such good comics, you see these comics and it's almost like a thing of like, fuck, I want to get that reaction. I want to be like that. I want to be better than that. So it's like you're seeing these things and like I'm telling you, that time at the Pair, I even texted you. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, that was fucking great.
Well, it's one of my favorite memories in comedy was I got off stage and I had grown out a mustache and Ian looks at me and goes, dude, that was so great and so fun to watch. Like, way to go. And that meant so much. And then he grabs me and pulls me an inch from his face and goes, but the mustache is my thing. And he was like, ditch it. And then pushed me away.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like this guy, so like at the end of the show, Zattel is like a meet and greet, and we always have like a poster with he and I on it, which is like so nice.
Amazing.
And people will get like both of us to sign it and everything. And he has shirts that are like his thing, and he sells them, and people are like, oh, will you sign it? And he's like, yeah. And sometimes people are like, hey, will you sign it? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so this guy comes through and he's like fangirling out over Dave, and he leaves and his wife comes back. She's like, it's my husband's birthday. I want to surprise him with a shirt. Will you guys sign it? We're like, okay. And, happy birthday, and we give it to her. And then later that night at like 4 a.m., this guy starts attacking me on Twitter about like me and like my hack signature on his whatever. And if he had been cool and been like, hey, I really love Dave, and you were great, but it's your name's on the shirt, and I would have been like, dude, I will get you a shirt. I will get Dave to sign it. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I would never, whatever. But because he was such a dick, I took such joy in the fact that I ruined his dumb shirt on his stupid fucking old birthday. And then he went at me on Facebook.
Oh,
and then he
classic.
went so far as to edit me out of the pictures that his wife took of all of us. And it was just so delicious and so tasty.
And that took him at his age so long to edit out.
Well, he told me, he goes, now I have to Google how to get silver marker out of his shirt. And he goes, how does it feel to know this tour is how the peak of your career? And I go, almost as good as knowing you'll never get my name out of your dumb shirt.
And by the way, even if this was the peak of your career, this would be a great career.
Yeah.
For Dave
That's
Attell.
a good
You grew up watching this
I mean,
guy?
but I don't want this to be a blip on a map. I
Right.
want to fucking keep going,
That's so funny you
Absolutely.
got that mad at the shirt, though.
Yeah.
I mean-
but then because he photoshopped me out of his pictures, I found his profile pictures on Facebook and I photoshopped myself into all those pictures.
Did he respond to any of that or no?
Yeah, he was like, do you not have a mirror in your dumpster? Because you're ugly. And then after that, it was like nothing. Like, people were like, dude, just take the L.
Yeah, he lost big time.
I want to make merch shirts with his face on it and me in
That's
the
amazing.
shirt. But I don't know if
think
that's
a new
like too
thing
inside
going on.
baseball.
People are just using the negative comments to spin it positively.
That's what
I've seen
I
a
do.
lot
I
of comics doing
can't
it lately.
deal with like negativity, and like trolls and stuff are so like whatever to engage with.
They can
That's
be
so
relentless
dumb.
at times.
Yeah, so I
you
just
also-
either
you
let it
also-
go.
You also get a weird group of people that thinks that they're in on the joke with you.
That's all people want. People just want a connection. They love something that you're doing, but they don't know how to do it, and they see us like bust balls and like, I can bust balls. And it's like, no, you like found my address out. That's not busting balls. It's like a
and I don't know
criminal
you. You're not
offense.
in on the joke. If you're not
Dude,
my friend, it's
a
weird.
buddy of mine was telling me how these guys like went after him, and then he met one in real life and was like, hey man, I'm the one that posted a picture of your girlfriend. I'm such a fan. I was like, what? I'm not shaking your hand. He goes, come on, it's like
He just-
comics bust balls. And he's like, no, that's like, harassment.
Yeah.
And you're not a
Or
comic,
what is
by
the
the way.
disconnect?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's people that want to make a connection. You got to recognize it. I don't engage. I just try to be like playful or ignore in my response. And that's just like what works
Yeah.
for me, I guess. But getting this
You
fucker
can come
felt
in,
so
don't worry.
good.
Feel free to
This
shop.
is Ian.
Hi, I
We live here.
shouldn't be around you.
I'm introducing you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap up.
Yeah,
I
Ian,
have to pee so bad.
Ian, anything you want to plug before you take a leak?
I don't know when this is
Oh,
coming
man.
out, so plug efficiently.
No, just my Instagram.
Hell
at
yeah.
iAnimal, IANIMAL. My website for dates, ianfidance.com. I'm gonna be got a bunch of headline dates coming up in Boston, Worcester, New Hampshire,
Worcester.
Maine,
Hell yeah.
San Diego, and
Ooh, San Diego, good party
Wilkes-
city.
American Comedy Company. I'm
nice,
excited to get
yeah.
out there, man.
That's fun.
I'm gonna try to do
Last time I was in San Diego, a guy
Fran,
gave me
too.
ketamine after a show. He
Really?
dapped me up, and he's like, let's party. And I looked down. I was like, what's that? He's like, Special K. I was like, that's intense to just dap
Yeah.
into a hand.
Dude, that's like a new thing everyone's doing.
Yeah.
I was talking to this girl at the show. She's like, "So, do you want to go do ketamine?" And I was like, "Lady, I didn't you listen to my set? I don't drink. I don't do
Yeah.
drugs. Oh, I thought that was
That's
like
putting your whole body back
lying.
into it.
Like,
That's not dipping your
Sobriety is
toe
a
back
big
in.
part of my life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
It's not
Well,
like
yeah,
people are
ignore
so
the
dumb.
set. Like,
you know,
my people have girlfriends, and they'll talk about the girlfriend on stage, and after people come up on hit on them, they're like, oh, I thought it was just like a joke. It's like, no, I have a girl.
I know.
Not me specifically, but I've
insane.
seen it happen to male
my
comics.
favorite. I don't drink. I don't do any of that. I'm sober as well. But like,
Oh,
people
nice,
will come
man.
up to me and be like the best is the fucking people who are like, you just haven't found the right this. You haven't found the right strain. It's like, if I smoke weed, I'm gonna go drool on myself.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
you haven't found the right strain.
Do people
There you go,
give you
exactly.
do people give you weed because you're like a drug guy?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of weed on the road.
People started giving me cigarettes, which is like nice.
That's
but
that's like handing you
I
money.
gotta quit.
Packs or
Dude,
Lucy's?
cartons.
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 That's fun.
Crazy.
That's
Crazy.
fucking awesome.
That is
Yeah.
good.
I don't smoke anymore, and I'm still like that. I couldn't turn that down.
I know. I know.
Well, we're at In the Aisle.
Yep.
That's our socials. I
This
got
is
nothing to
cool,
plug.
man. I like it.
Thanks
I,
for
I
coming
feel like
out,
this
man.
is very much where I'm meant to be, sitting on a box crate,
Yeah,
running
yeah.
my
when
mouth.
I was
went
like,
to-
you'll
This is where I would be if I didn't have comedy.
Yeah.
I would just be in here, but without a microphone.
Ironically, this is where you are with comedy too. You'll never get away from it, Ian. This is your destiny.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for
everyone.
coming. Bye.